Welcome to Jason's Journal. I am in St. Augustine, Florida, covering J.J. Gray and Mofro's Blackwater Soul Revue. That soothing sound you hear in the background is mostly trucks and SUVs rolling down Anastasia Boulevard here in beautiful St. Augustine, Florida, the nation's oldest city. I love this place. It's always kind of a homecoming for me. I'm not from here, but many of my dear friends are from here, and I've just spent so much time both hanging out with them and connecting, but also going to shows at the St. Augustine Amphitheatre, which is where I am in and around all weekend here this Memorial Day weekend. Y'all, if you're new to the Marinade, welcome. Maybe you went to Blackwater Soul Revue last night and this came across your social media feed. You wanted to relive the weekend. We really appreciate you listening. I'll give you a little context for the show. The Marinade is a free-flowing conversation about the creative process with creative people. Each episode, we welcome musicians, actors, comedians, authors, visual artists, filmmakers, anyone who creates art to talk about how and why we make stuff. The bulk of our work looks like me, Jason Earl, sitting down with an artist and talking about process. We're also fortunate to cover live events like this one, and my goal is to bring you along for the ride. So, without further delay, day one of Blackwater Soul Revue at the St. Augustine Amphitheatre in St. Augustine, Florida. My first J.J. Gray and Mofro show was in 2004. They played the Jacksonville Symphony Orchestra. It was incredible. I first saw Lucero live in Tallahassee, Florida in December of 2006. I just love that the band always seems to be in my home state around my birthday. I think my first American Aquarium show was at Jackrabbits in Jacksonville, Florida, in the San Marco neighborhood. I've been listening to the band for years before catching them live around 2012 or so. Point being, these are three of my favorite bands of all time, and they're on a bill together. And it's edifying to see a performer that you've loved for years in tiny rock clubs and weird stages play a stage like the St. Augustine Amphitheatre, which is my favorite larger venue in Florida. Something stands out from the jump. I've been watching these bands for the better part of 2 decades, and I can't think of a night where they phoned it in or were not their best. I've been to at least one Lucero show a year for most of my adult life, and it's always worth the effort. Satsang is opening the main stage tonight. I'm in a weird headspace. Most of y'all know I'm a middle school English teacher by day. The end of the school year came Friday, and that's always a disorienting feeling. Teaching is intense work, and then you just have 2 months with time on your hands. It always takes like a week or so to adjust. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying this is the reality. So 24 hours later, I'm not yet acclimated. I'm tired. I'm running on adrenaline. It's serving up, though, exactly what I need. This guy is playing acoustic. He's barefoot. Don't roll your eyes. He's showing up. A couple of songs in, he's covering the Bee Gees. I can see you. Stop it. I'm telling you, this guy's good. He's from Montana, which is a wonderful, wild, weird as hell part of the world. If you haven't been there, he recounts coming off tour and having to pass off his baby because he had a song idea. Who hasn't been there? There's this fella in front of me. Let's call him Phil. He's Florida as fuck. It's Florida as fuck in here. I feel less Florida than I should, right? Like tomorrow I'm going to wear my jean shorts and my flip-flops and like really blend in. Phil's doing this dip pack thing. You know the dip pack thing? I don't know how many of y'all pictured exactly what I'm talking about as soon as I said it. Put your thumb and middle finger together and then like let your index finger fly loose. Then flick your wrist in a celebratory fashion. Does that have a name? How many of y'all know what I'm talking about? Is that a southern thing? I don't know. Anyway, I venture to say that probably 80% of you immediately picture what I'm talking about. Satsang introduces a song about being smitten. He says, after a while you forget what that feels like, and then it happens again as you're about to turn 40. Buddy, I'm on the other side of 40, but relatable content, sir. The disorienting feeling has mostly subsided as American Aquarium takes the stage. There's an older woman next to me. She's chasing the shade like all of us are on this sweltering Florida night, and she is not so sure about these rock and rollers who have just taken the stage. The boys open with their new single, Crier, which I love. It's like a kick you in the teeth song. I'm so excited for the new record. I'm so excited to hear that Shooter Jennings touch. He produced Lamentations, which is one of my favorite American Aquarium records, but I didn't hear as much of his influence as I kind of expected. Usually when Shooter produces a record, he puts that fingerprint on it, and Crier is one of those songs where it feels like Shooter's fingerprint is on it, which I'm fucking here for. Much of the crowd seems to not know American Aquarium yet. Phil does. He's belting every song. I don't feel bad about singing along in this space here. Usually I'll just sort of mouth the words to songs because I don't want to disturb people around me. But no one's next to me. Phil's in front of me belting every song. It's kind of a freeing feeling, and I need it. It's a cathartic moment. And the set list is perfect. As it progresses, BJ and the boys are starting to make friends. This crowd that wasn't so sure about this rock and roll band is undeniable live, y'all. Casualties of Rock and Roll and St. Mary's, Losing Side of 25, Lonely Ain't Easy, just song after song of stunning work. And they end with Jacksonville and Burn, Flicker, Die. And by that point, they fully have the crowd. And then comes Lucero. Out to a roar. The place is filling up. Ben Nichols says, at JJ Gray's festival, I don't stand a chance at being good. Right? He's just so great. Phil's still having a blast. He only takes his arm away from his lady's shoulders long enough to dap me up or do his dip pack celebration. He asks me where I'm from, and I tell him I grew up down the road, and so he starts in on something about how Florida has everything figured out, and I can kind of see something change in his whole demeanor. Like he's looking to connect with me on a level I don't want to connect with. I can see the bigotry start to fill his eyes, and I don't want to sully our good rapport. I really like Phil, and I don't want him to say something racist. I don't want him to start in on the Mexicans or whatever he's about to do. So I make out something about how we're fortunate to get to see such great bands and such a beautiful setting. And that seems to sate him for the moment. And much to my relief, we resume dip packing and dapping. Lucero plays Chain Link Fence and Sweet Little Thing in succession. I haven't heard either of those in a minute. I'm so grateful for these moments. Just an incredible night shaping up. There's a bit of a break before Mofro as they set up. It looks like he's going to have 20 people on stage. The wave begins to break out in the crowd. The sky starts to threaten. I'm beat. He does, in fact, have about 20 people on stage. He's got like 14 backup singers, I swear. He's got such a fervent fan base. It's wild to see them go from this like 4 or 5 piece band to this huge production they have now and still maintain that connection with their fans. I'm just in awe reflecting on decades of watching them. The live show is always a blast, and tonight is an exemplar of that reality. Unfortunately, the heavens have their own performance to conduct. The sky opens, a downpour. I'm headed back to my motel. The Lion Inn, which still has those keys with the holes in them like we used in the 80s, like the early computers would have, like from the 60s or 70s. I usually camp at Anastasia State Park when attending shows at the Amp, but that wasn't in the cards, so I booked the cheapest motel I could find anywhere nearby. And honestly, it was a great experience. I don't have a plan for Sunday, just blowing in the wind, so stay tuned. It's been a great start to the festival, and I'm looking forward to another wonderful day. Follow The Marinade on all the socials so you don't miss more coverage. Also follow Alicia Pollock so you don't miss her gorgeous photos from this weekend. Make sure to subscribe on your podcast app. Tell a friend about the show. And if you really like what we're doing and can swing it, consider joining our Patreon community. Just $2 a month, y'all. You can gain access to Patreon exclusive content like our show, What We're Getting Down On, where my friend Peter Harrelson and I get together once a month and talk about the art that has us inspired at the moment. But above all, thank all of you so much for listening. Until next time, go out and create something. Cheers, y'all.